Joe Biden is getting increasingly frustrated with the federal agencies that are refusing to, I guess, accommodate a smooth transition from the Trump administration to the Biden administration, which is a fascinating thing to complain about because it's Joe Biden who believes that he's persuasive enough to convince Republicans to work with him on bold policy proposals. Now, here's what he had to say in a recent interview. Right now, we just aren't getting all the information that we need from the outgoing administration in key national security areas. It's nothing short, in my view, of irresponsibility. Now, he elaborates on this point in a video that we're about to show you. Let's watch that, and when we come back, I'll explain more.
Right now, as our nation is in a period of transition, we need to make sure that nothing is lost in the handoff between administrations. My team needs a clear picture of our force posture around the world and our operations to deter our enemies. We need full visibility into the budget planning underway at the Defense Department and other agencies in order to avoid any window of confusion or catch-up that our adversaries may try to exploit. But as I said from the beginning, we have encountered roadblocks from the political leadership at the Department of Defense and the Office of Management and Budget. Right now, we just aren't getting all the information that we need for the outgoing administration in key national security areas. It's nothing short, in my view, of irresponsibility.
So Biden also made a point to differentiate between Trump administration appointees and career federal employees who he believes, have been incredibly accommodating, and he referred to them as patriots. But the point that he's trying to make is, okay, these Trump appointees who have, worked in his administration are making this transition, process way more difficult than it needs to be. We're not getting the information we need. Okay, fair enough. That is a problem. But the point that I want to make is the Republican Party is the party of Trump. When you look at, how Republican congressional lawmakers have been behaving under Trump, they have enabled him. They're not speaking out against the obstruction that's taking place right now in the transition process. They're not defending Joe Biden. If anything, they've enabled Donald Trump's behavior over and over again. So how is it that Joe Biden genuinely believes that simply by being a good, kind, honest person, he's going to convince the Republican Party to work with him? He's going to persuade them to work with him on policies that we absolutely need to get passed. And I want to remind you of what he told the New York Times. This is a story we shared with you earlier this week. He said, quote, "My leverage is every senior Republican knows I've never once ever misled them. I'll never publicly embarrass them." That was his statement. And so he genuinely thinks, Cenk, that he can work with Republicans, even as in this very moment, he's dealing with this obstruction in the transition process right from the jump. Right from the jump, he can't persuade them to do the right thing because they don't care to do the right thing. They don't care about honesty or being a good person. They care about sheer power, and they're going to flex every time they can do it. And they're doing that right now with this transition.
Well, there's two sides of this story. One is what Anna's pointing out here. What happened, Joe? I thought you could just get them to work with you. Were you not able to persuade them? How about the 126 Republicans that wrote into the Supreme Court saying that they should toss out your victory, just burn the votes in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Just don't count them and make Trump the president illegally. How about those guys? You think you could work with them? Absurd. Absurd. Now, the more disturbing part is the part you don't see. So there's credible reporting that Joe Biden behind the scenes pressured the Democrats to agree to that latest COVID relief bill that had only $600 in direct checks. So after Trump said 2,000, and then Pelosi did a cute little political trick where she was going to do a meaningless vote on the 2,000, and then she got caught with her hand in the cookie jar, and then they had a real vote, and then finally, Biden was like, fine, 2,000. He doesn't actually want the 2,000. So there is some truth to him being able to work with Republicans, but only if he agrees to the Republican position, which is the entire history and career of Joe Biden.
Yeah, and I think, look, I can't say that he intentionally does this. He might be doing it subconsciously, but it's kind of this marketing strategy that I've seen among moderate Democrats over and over again. And it's a talking point that corporate media absolutely loves. It's this talking point of, I can do bipartisan deals. And the corporate media never gets into the nitty gritty of what those deals mean. They never talk about how the bipartisan deals with Democrats in support tend to be giant concessions to what the right wing wants. So a negotiation and bipartisan deal just for the sake of a bipartisan deal means nothing. What matters is the substance of the legislation or the substance of the resolution or the substance of what's happening. And, again, like interview after interview, I watched one with Mark Warner a few weeks ago, where Mark Warner's bragging about doing some sort of bipartisan deal with congressional Republicans. And it was awful. I believe it was about the coronavirus relief package, but CNN loved it. And the reason why they love it is because they want to live in this fantasy world where both parties can really do the hard work and meet in the middle. The problem is they rarely meet in the middle. If anything, they consistently pass legislation that is pro-corporate, corporate friendly, and does not do anything to protect workers' rights or increase wages or do things that would actually benefit the lives and livelihood of average Americans. So, I think he's going to do bipartisan deals. I think they're going to be giant concessions to the Republican Party. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, last two quick things here. One is the COVID relief bill is in a lot of ways a perfect example. Remember, Pelosi and the Democrats started at $2.4 trillion, and this is not a $900 billion bill. Most of the money is actually retread from the original CARES Act that already passed. We did the math on this earlier. The Democrats basically got 15% of what they originally wanted. That is not meeting halfway. Not 50, 15, 1-5. No, that's getting your ass handed to you. And apparently Biden behind the scenes was like, great, I was looking for my ass. Let's take it. So, and that's honestly all of Biden forever and ever and ever. And in terms of the corporate media, I could show you by definition that they're not good at their jobs. Have you ever seen any of them ever ask, yes, Senator, but what's in the bipartisan deal? You say it's great, but just because you reached a deal doesn't mean that it's great. It depends on what's in it. Have you ever seen a cable news actor say that? Never, never. They're always painted as like, oh, wow, that is good news, Senator. How did you brave souls get to this incredible agreement? Agreement for the sake of agreement. Oh, by the way, that largely helps the rich. Don't tell our audience. We're also rich. So that's how cable news basically works.